Vestigial structures also. We've talked about vestigial structures are things that aren't useful anymore. So a vestigial structure, I don't know, that may be a good way to remember this. If you see vestigial, you can think vest because it starts off with vest. And vests are kind of old-fashioned. I know I like the vests because it looks like, you know, from the early 1900s or whatever. It's a cool look. So if you see vest, think, oh, like vestigial means vest means old, that we don't use so much anymore, but we still have them. People still have vests, but they're not really required. Now they're kind of like to dress up fancy or whatever. So vestigial. If we have vestigial, a vestigial organ is something that we don't use anymore, but we maybe used to use. So like our appendix on the right side of you, right here down at the bottom of your large intestine, right where your small intestine joins your large intestine, that is an appendix. That's God's off button. Halfway through your life, you can be like, no thanks, and hit it. It explodes, you die very quickly. Thankfully now we can remove your appendix and it won't kill you. But it doesn't do anything, though other animals that have an appendix do still use them for things with a lot of cellulose or plant fiber in it. So maybe a really long time ago, humans or common ancestors a long time ago used the appendix to help us digest nutshells or really heavy plant material, whatever it was we were eating back then. Other examples are that third eyelid right inside your eye. Yeah, you can't really see it on me, thankfully, but if you got really close to a mirror and looked and kind of did this, you'd be able to see a little bit of that pink half circle that moves over your eye. That's some evidence of the nictitating membrane, something along those lines, but it's the third eyelid inside your eye. Nictitating membrane is the word. But that's the thing that a bird can cover when it's flying in order to keep its eyes dry, or that a buzzard can put over its eyes so that when it digs into dead animals for food, it doesn't get blood in its eyes, because that'd be gross. It just gets it on its eyelid, I guess, which is still pretty gross. So that's a nictitating eyelid, is a vestigial structure. Other vestigial structures, hip bones in whales. You can tell that a whale a really long time ago had legs and crawled around on the ground, but as it started to use its butt to swim around, it got flippers back on its butt, and it didn't really need its legs anymore, its back legs. So its front legs turned into these big flippers, its butt turned into a big tail that it can swim around with, and its legs melted off because that slowed it down from swimming, but the hip bones themselves are still inside the whale. And so that's another evidence of, like, why would a whale have hip bones if it didn't used to have something attached to the hip bones? So that's evidence that it was a big land mammal that eventually crawled into the water and was like, oh man, it's pretty easy to swim around down here. I think I'll keep swimming. And so he got better and better at swimming, and by getting better at swimming, he didn't need his legs anymore, and they lost their legs and still have hip bones inside them, though, as a vestigial structure. So that's a vestigial structure. It is something like... You read the vestigial, what is the word we think of? The piece of clothing. You think of a vest. Vests are old. A vestigial structure is an old-fashioned thing we don't use anymore. Okay, so the appendix, the eyelid. Wisdom teeth were the other one we used, because wisdom teeth used to be nifty. They'd push all your teeth forward and hold them in place once you were 20, because if you still were alive by 20, you probably didn't have many teeth left, because you were always, I don't know, biting into tiger meat and whatever we did as cave people. But now that we have good dental work and braces and things, you don't need your wisdom teeth, and so when they grow in, a lot of people have to have them pulled out so it doesn't cause more problems. Vestigial structures.